And in studio, the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, George McPhee, in town and in person. How are you? Good to see you.
Doing well. Thank you.
You've been here for a while. I know your team's been on the East Coast for a little bit, but when did you come in?
I came in this morning. We played in Boston last night. The team went home at a 6 o'clock flight this morning to get up here, and went right to Berkey's sports conference, and we'll have the Hall of Fame stuff tonight, and then GM's meetings tomorrow.
Have you done Berkey's thing before?
I haven't.
First
No,
time?
I don't do many of those, and for fear of giving away ammunition, you know. And but he called this summer and asked it, and said, "We're going to be there, sure." So.
You had such an interesting first year, and then off season. So here you are with this this team that unexpectedly reached, one step away from the pinnacle of winning a Stanley Cup. And I know you and your owner were disappointed in how it all ended, but all in all, it was such a remarkable ride, and I know you enjoyed it immensely. But you get to the off season, and now you have this collection of guys that you've gotten to know, and you have to make decisions on a bunch of players. What was your agenda when you started the off season? What did you want to accomplish?
Wanted to try and keep the team together. Wanted to try and keep everyone. Unfortunately, sometimes you can't do it. You can't reach the agreement you'd like to reach, and it's disappointing. But that's life in the NHL these days. So we lost a few players. So we went out and grabbed a few players.
One of the players, the two specific players of interest that you got, one of the comments that was made was that this was a team, your team last year, that had great speed, that played with speed, played quick, played hard, moved all the time. And you brought in a couple players who are not known for their skating. Did you take that into consideration, George?
Sure.
And
there's always room for guys that play the game well, and even if they don't have great speed, like our team has real good speed. And when we're healthy, we can really move. But it doesn't hurt us to have a couple of guys that can actually slow some things down and make some plays, particularly on our power play, because we're throwing it all over the place, but not, we're not executing as well as we'd like to, and we could use a little bit of that. So when they get healthy and get back in, I expect to be better.
George, was this offseason in some ways most challenging when you were trying to assess what you've had? Because you're essentially working with a sample size of that group together as 1 year, and you hadn't had most of those players for more than a season. When you're trying to chart a course and make a decision on how to proceed forward with such a limited sample size together, how did that make things different for you compared to other off seasons?
Well, you have a smaller sample size. You have to trust your instincts, trust what the analytics are telling you, and put the two together and try to make the best decisions you can. It's not easy. It wasn't easy. We've signed a lot of players to contracts. We wanted to avoid having a lot of free agents in the summer going forward. We did the best we could, and we like what we've accomplished. We like the deals that we have done. I think it puts us in real good shape now and for the future. And but that's where we are. We did the best we could, and our fingers are crossed, hoping that we made the right decisions.
one of the things that was referred to a lot last year, and even before the franchise took to the ice, was the Vegas flu, the concept that teams would come in and get mesmerized, romanticized by Las Vegas. And your team had a great home ice record last year. Did you dismiss the Vegas flu idea
100%.
completely?
100%. It helps the teams that they play next. Doesn't help us, because they come into town, they play, then they go out and play somebody else. Their next stop. We've had some teams that have stayed overnight and had some fun, and they're not so good next game.
Yeah.
They were fine against us.
Were you surprised? Like teams like I remember the Maple Leafs when they went in there for the New Year's Eve game, literally stayed off the strip deliberately. Do most teams stay off the strip, by the way?
No.
No, they stay on the strip.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed off the strip, literally went to the game, and then got out of town immediately after the game, as if to inhibit any extracurricular activities. Is that common?
I don't know how common it is, but I know there are teams, I don't know how many, but there are teams that are doing that. Some teams come in on the day of the game and play and leave.
Yeah.
Literally come over on the day of the game.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of some teams that a few of them stay away from the strip and play the game and then take off. Yeah.
What do you think the impact of the ambiance, the presentation in the arena has to an opposing team? Now, I'm asking you to speculate, but you're there for every game.
Yeah.
You see it. You don't necessarily experience it from their side of it. But what do you think it means? Because it's different.
It really is different. It's an amazing show. We have to do something like that because we are Vegas, it's the entertainment capital of the world, and there's a lot of talent in Vegas to utilize to do different things during the game and between periods. Not to mention the showgirls that happen to be behind the visiting team's net during warm up. But I don't know how it affects other teams. Will it intimidate some teams? Maybe. Maybe they're younger players. I think we've seen some of that. Does it motivate veteran players on the other teams? Maybe. I do know that it helps our team.
Does it motivate your team? You think it does?
Yeah, they like it. It's just a really neat atmosphere that's always up, and energized, and it's a neat way to play.
How do you think? I mean, Bob was just alluding to the sense that opposing teams are going to come in and treat it as this exotic playground. I remember when the Blue Jays had their AAA team in Las Vegas, a lot of the players were saying, you know what, we barely go to the strip. There's nothing, you do it a couple times, you get out of your system, and it's not exotic when you're there every day. How do you think your players acclimated to being in Vegas?
That way. Those of us that live there, we don't go down to the strip a lot. Certainly if you want to see some great shows, there's a good band in town or someone in residence, or see some of the other things that are going on. It's really neat to see these shows. The hospitality, the way you're treated down there is amazing. But for the most part, we live in a quiet community in Summerlin in Vegas. That's like any other American suburb. It's really nice. It's well planned out. They are master planned communities for the most part. A lot of gated communities, safe, beautiful things to do. And really, we've talked about the Vegas flu and everything else, but there are lots of great places to go out in this league. Lots of great towns if you want to go out and have some fun. So it doesn't just apply to us. But to get back to your original question, it's a nice, easy, quiet town for most of us.
Now, I'm surprised. We were talking to you before the break, and I asked you if you'd been up to Mount Charleston yet, and you said no. Have you been to Red Rock?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Several times.
You done the drive?
Done the drive.
Did you get out of the car and walk around a bit?
Done some of the hiking.
Yeah. Because it's like
watch out for the scorpion.
Was it 10, 15 minutes away from you?
Oh,
maybe 20.
Not even.
Maybe tops, huh?
We're right. Our practice facility, and I'm 4 minutes from the practice rink, is right across from the Red Rock Casino. So we just go right out.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's 10 minutes
out Mount Charleston, and
it's that 13-mile loop through the park it's amazing to see it. You feel like you're in a different world.
Yeah, you kind of feel like you're sort of, there are places where you feel like you're at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It's not quite that dramatic. Now, have you been to the Grand Canyon yet?
Yes.
Now, before the trip, before you moved out there, or since? Oh,
but we've been to the Hoover Dam. I took my kids.
Oh, you did go to Hoover Dam?
Yeah. Drove down there one day and got on some jet skis and bombed all over the place. It was really neat.
Yeah.
It was really neat to just sort of, again, you feel it, you're in a different world, a different place.
It is. I always felt when I lived there that it was like an island, and there wasn't much around it except barren desert. And what you find out is that there's actually a bunch of things to do other than just go to the strip. Oh, yeah. There's lots to do. Like, we're going to, now that you mentioned Mount Charleston and a good day trip, we're going to do that. Yeah. But there, you can go lots of different places. We went to Mount, is it Zion Park? Zion Park, yeah.
We were there last year.
Yeah.
We did some glamping, that that kind of camping, and it was only about 105 degrees that night.
That's it.
Hard to sleep, but
Warm.
but we did. It was a neat thing to do, and it was a great drive. And we drive over to California. Lake Tahoe's up in Northern California.
Yeah.
It's easy to get to places.
One of the things we saw with your team, specifically in the playoffs, is when I think I saw the story was with your practice facility up at Summerlin. Fans showing up for practice. Is that still happening?
Oh yeah, come out in droves.
Really?
Yeah. It's a really neat experience for these folks, and again, we have, I've said this before. There's a lot of civic pride over this team because it was the first major league professional team there. Yes. But it became more than that in the wake of the shooting, and
of course.
But what I've heard a lot in the community is this is for us. This isn't for the tourists. This hockey team is in town for this community, for the residents of this community. And I hadn't thought of that before. And there's an incredible following, and they come to practices and hang out, and wherever we go in town, people know who you are and treat you like gold. It's an amazing experience. And Bob, build it and they will come.
Yeah.
We built this practice facility in the middle of the desert, and it's packed all the time. Boys and girls playing hockey, adult leagues, tournaments. The number of people that want to come to Vegas with their teams and have a tournament. Let's go. I mean,
well, the parents,
that's automatic.
Parents may be encouraging more of that than the kids, but I get what you mean. How do the players deal with it? I mean, they come out of practice every day, and there's 500, 1,000 people standing outside. Probably all want pictures and autographs. Does that get old for the players?
No,
not
it
yet.
Doesn't. No. It makes them feel special. They like it. We've all been in other places where there wasn't that kind of following, and when I first went to Washington, there was none of that, and the players felt like they were in an outpost. Didn't like it. Washington's different now, but Vegas they like it. They like being recognized, and it's right at the right level. If they want to be recognized, it's there. And we've done a special thing where we can't accommodate everybody when we're leaving the rink because there are so many of them.
Yeah.
So we've agreed to, after every practice, send 4 or 5 players down to the other end of the rink to sign autographs for people there. And because it gets to be a little bit of a safety issue outside with kids running across the road and everything else.
Yeah. Who's your rival?
Who's our rival?
Has that been established yet? Is it LA?
I think that was the easy one initially, because they had a lot of preseason games there, but I think it's all the teams in our division, especially the ones we played in the playoffs.
Too early to get a rivalry, maybe? Does it?
It doesn't feel that way. It feels like it's already there with LA and Anaheim. I mean, those are hard games. San Jose for sure. No, I think it's already established. It's, it's getting to be a really good division. You've got some teams that are already good teams, and some of the other clubs that haven't been good teams have all these good young players that are coming along. So it's going to be a battle, and I feel like the rivalries are already there.
Are there teams that come in where you're going to get more phone calls for tickets than any other? I mean, LA's in regularly, and they're only, it's only a 4-hour drive away. So people from LA and Anaheim can drive in 3.5, 4 hours. But is there one team that when they come into town, the phone's going to ring?
Bob, we get them for every team.
Everybody.
It is amazing because lots of people look at the calendar and say, geez, I wouldn't mind going to Vegas in December, January, February, whatever, and have some fun and go watch hockey games.
Do you think?
And they come when their teams are there.
Yeah. Do you think it happens more in Vegas than any other place? We used to talk about this before you got there.
Yeah.
The possibility that, if your arena isn't full, and I've been there when the Rangers have been there. I was there, of course, for the Stanley Cup final with Washington in, and you walk along the strip, and I know you've probably experienced this. There are hundreds of people wearing their home team jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember being in town when the Rangers were in town. I saw hundreds of people wearing Rangers jerseys. I don't know how many of them had tickets.
Right.
But they were there for that reason. They used the excuse of going to a hockey game to get to Vegas or the other way around.
Yeah. But it's turned out to be a great thing for them and for us because it's Vegas and there's a different attitude when you land. It's about going in and having some fun and it's a very festive atmosphere in our rink. And our fans treat the visiting fans very, very well. This isn't like Philadelphia fans coming into Washington or Ranger fans going over to the island where, it's different. It's a nice atmosphere for these people to be in. Our fans treat them very well.
You touched on this before when you were talking about all the startup hockey leagues that have come around. What does the minor hockey situation look like in Las Vegas? Like how many rinks are there hockey at, and how many kids do you guys see playing these days?
We have 2 other rinks, and then there's one of the casinos has a rink, and they had some college games there the other day. And we are trying to build a couple more rinks in Henderson, just to get to the grassroots level and really grow the game. And we have, we're up 200 or 300% for sure with the number of kids that are playing hockey.
Wow.
We have a whole program like learn to skate and then learn to play, and then all these house leagues and development leagues and travel teams, and we're putting a lot of money into that, and we've got some grants from the NHL, and it's we're going to grow the game, and we have a lot of people playing. We got to all the public schools in Clark County. We got them sticks and nets and balls to play with, so they get road hockey going.
Do you see that? Have you actually seen ball hockey games out on the streets?
I have here and there. Yep.
Really?
And what happens when you put sticks in kids' hands?
They play.
They play.
Yeah.
So we've got a really neat thing going on there. It could not have been better than it is right now. I think the league was really smart in picking Vegas and very prescient in giving us great rules to work with so we can put a good team on the ice so people can embrace the game and see it at a good level and win some games and have some pride in it. It's been remarkably successful.
George McPhee is with us in studio. Curtis Joseph was in here a couple of weeks ago, I guess. He's got a new book out.
Yeah, I read something about that the other day.
And I don't know if you even know this, but Cujo played for a month or two in Vegas. You remember that?
I read it in his article, yeah.
Yeah. He played with the Las Vegas Stars. I think they were the International Hockey League team. Used to play at the Thomas and Mack Center. Thunder, sorry, the Thunder.
The Thunder, that's right.
Yeah. Stars were the baseball team, I think. Anyway, Thunder played at the Thomas and Mack, which is where UNLV plays basketball principally. And they used to practice at the Santa Fe. Is that arena still there? Do you know?
I don't know. I can't remember the name of the casino that has a real nice rink, but the college teams came in and played, and there were 6,000 to 8,000 people there for these college games.
Wow.
Inside this casino, and I can't remember the name of it. And
it might even have been, wouldn't it have been the MGM?
I'm not sure.
I might have been, if it was 6,000 to 8,000 people, I can't imagine that.
Kelly McCrimmon went to the games. So it was
really?
Great, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just intrigued by whether that, because Curtis and I talked a little bit about his Vegas time, and I used to sit there and watch. I literally could sit in the casino and play video poker while I was watching Cujo practice with the Thunder. Yeah, I guess
we're doing a real good job, I think, of rounding up all the alumni that are in the area, and we're going to start having them come to games and everything else.
They're just telling me they think it was at Orleans.
That's it.
Yeah, and well, which is on
Isn't the
Flamingo,
Orleans sort of off the strip?
It's a little
Flamingo.
off the strip on Flamingo, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, Flamingo or Trop.
It's one of those two.
Yeah, I can't remember which.
Yeah, it's one of those major arteries that goes down on the strip.
I think it's the place where they do the curling too. They have a big curling event every year at the Orleans, which is
I'm not sure Americans get that game.
Yeah, I find it, but they pack the place. It must be Canadians go down, do the same thing they do, I guess, for your games.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. T during the Olympics sure did his part to try and get Americans into curling.
Yeah. Well, the team. How would you categorize the way your team has played?
Inconsistent.
We've
been very, very good. Some nights, for the whole game and very good for a few periods. But we haven't been as consistent as we should be to win. And we want to be a consistently good team, so we've got to play better. And we're mindful of, what happens when you get to the Stanley Cup final. When you play a team next year, you're a measuring
They're ready
stick.
for you. Yeah.
They play you hard because if they win the game, it's a big win for them. And so we're getting that, and it should ultimately make you even better.
Do you worry about the hangover of getting to a Stanley Cup final?
Sure. But we're, I talked to Turk about it, and, you take the rearview mirror out of the car and you look forward and it's how do we win the next game? And that's the way he's always coached. But it's a long grind, and it's hard enough if you win. It's really hard if you didn't win it, because it's a long way back, because it's not one team anymore.
No, I know.
It's everybody.
Everybody's a challenge.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Penguins got off to a kind of a shaky start. I think they lost 5 in a row.
Recently.
Yeah, just recently. And the consensus seemed to be, they know when the games matter. They know that you got to be ready for March and April, and then beyond that. I sense that you don't think that your team is in that category right now, or are they?
No. We're not taking anything for granted. We've been in the league 1 year. We had a heck of a season and a heck of a playoff run, and we earned it. They deserved it. They played that well. But we've got to play better than we are. And I'd like to get healthy for one game just to see what we are.
Well, yeah.
We just haven't been. And, we rebuilt our second line. And I think they played 2.5 games together. Stasny's been out most of the year.
Yep.
Pacioretty was out. Hall is out.
Yeah.
Tuck's been out. We're not deep enough yet to not have everybody in.
But you went through some of this last year, George. You had plenty of injuries. I remember one.
Well, certainly, we were one of the leaders in the league. Games lost.
Not just goaltenders too, because
Right.
you had that issue.
Yeah,
you went through 4 or 5 goaltenders as it turned out. But I remember when I was down, I think in December, you were talking about how many guys had the flu and were under the weather. I know you had a bunch of guys play, but maybe shouldn't even have played. Because they were sick. Is it worse now than it was at any point last year, do you think? Or as bad?
It's probably worse. If you take away the goaltending, probably worse. Because we can't afford to lose skill guys for very long. Again, we're not deep enough, and seems like the guys we've been losing are skill guys. Whether it's Schmidt on the blue line or Halla, Pacioretty, Tuck, Stasny, those kinds of guys.
Yeah. You have another major professional team arriving in town, maybe as soon as next year. I know you're kind of grimacing, and I think you're right. I don't think that's likely, although they're saber-rattling a bit about maybe going even to the university field house stadium out in Henderson to play next year just to get out of the Bay Area. There was obviously a lot of conversation about the importance of you getting into the marketplace first before the Raiders arrived. And yet, very quickly, I got the sense you're not going to be impacted by the presence of the Raiders. You have established yourself. You have a foothold. The reaction in the town is overwhelmingly positive. Do you still feel that way?
I do. And again, I thought the league was really smart picking Vegas. They picked Nashville, and then the Titans came in after the Predators, and the Predators really emphasized that they were born and bred there, and we are too. We're Vegas born. And we're not a relocation. So you start there, and then you have the kind of year that we had, and people really enjoy this game. Which is why we like them coming into practice. They're up right against the glass. They see the talent that's involved, the skill, the intensity, and they're up close to it, and they can take some ownership in it. And for all kinds of reasons, this team captured the hearts of this community last year, and I don't think other teams coming in will affect our ticket sales. I thought that it may affect sponsorship. I don't think it's going to, because we're really doing well there, and we've got people locked in for a long time, those sponsorship deals. So I think we're in a really good place. They've performed well, but our players have been amazing in this community. Certainly, again, in the wake of the shooting, but for all kinds of other things, our players have been terrific. And, hockey players, they're great in the community. And I think the fans really like that. It's a small town. You live there, it feels like a small town.
Yeah, it does. Feels like
laid
it.
back,
It isn't really, though, but
laid back, nice folks, and they like the people that our guys are. And so I think the franchise is, financially in a great place, in terms of popularity in a great place. And it's novel and new, but it's this game that people, like all of us up here, know. You watch hockey for a little bit. It's a terrific game.
one of the things that anybody who goes to the arena in Vegas will immediately assess, ascertain, observe is the absence of the corporate block. And that's really influential here in Toronto. The vast majority of the season tickets are held by Bay Streeters, downtowners, corporations who use hockey as a means to communicate with clients, whether they're trying to sell them something or just say thank you for something. And it's one of the reasons why you get so many empty seats, because they don't come out of their private boxes, in time for the start of the game. And when you go to a game in Vegas, in a nutshell, what you can expect to see is mom and dad and two kids sitting in seats.
Yep. Yeah. We're the sort of populist team. We made a concerted effort to sell tickets to families, to small businesses. We weren't going to sell tickets in large blocks. If you go to a show on the Strip at any given time, 96% of the people at those shows are tourists, maybe 4% are local. We flipped that, and the majority of our fans are locals.
Yeah.
And the casinos have certainly bought some tickets here and there, and we'll buy some suites, but we've done everything we can to sell tickets to the average guy, and to not sell tickets to brokers. People are selling. If we know where these tickets are going. If you're selling them a lot, if you're not using them and keep reselling them, we move you out and sell to people on the waiting list that is a family.
Yeah.
For example.
And you're still essentially sold out, right?
We're over capacity for every single game.
Over capacity.
Yes, we're 17,300 fixed seats.
Right.
But we are most nights over 18,000 because we have these party rooms and bars.
Yeah. I've seen them.
You've seen all that stuff. I don't know what's going on up there, but it's pretty neat. In the playoffs, we had people buying seats in a bar in one of those places up there where you couldn't even see the ice. You could see the game on TV, but you could. But we're
just to get inside.
Yeah, they were selling those seats.
Well, and then you have the.
It's an event.
Yeah. And then you have the area outside the arena where
Yes.
people will go and will stand for the entire game.
Yes.
I saw it during the playoffs. There were at least a few thousand. I don't know how to categorize a crowd, but
Yeah.
I actually went outside and overlooked the area outside the arena, and it was pretty much packed.
Yeah, we have bands playing out
Yeah,
there.
you have all kinds of.
You've got all the buzz from the Strip, and it's one atmosphere out there, and then it's a different atmosphere inside. But the whole experience is pretty neat. I never could imagine that it would be this good.
Yeah.
And have gone this well.
Well, we wish you continued success. It has been a great ride so far. This year has been a little disappointing by last year's standards, but I think almost anything was going to be disappointing by last year's standards, except the Stanley Cup championship. And who knows, maybe that's still
We
in the
almost
cards
did it.
too.
Well, start slow and finish strong, hopefully.
Great to see you as always. Thank you
Bob.
so much
Thank
for
you
coming
very much
by.
for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks,
George
George.
McPhee, the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights.